everyone. Welcome back to the Film Fund podcast. I'm your host, founder, and executive producer at the Film Fund, Thomas Verity. I'm also an award-winning filmmaker, producer, and film festival judge. I started the Film Fund to give filmmakers an easier, alternative way to get their films funded. Instead of working on a screenplay, crowdfunding campaign, or grant application, you write one sentence pitching your film for a chance to receive up to $10,000 and other prizes to make it. Our winter narrative and documentary funding contests are now open, so don't forget to submit your pitch. Check us out at thefilmfund.co to enter your one-sentence pitch for a chance to win up to $10,000 to make your film. We also have some other prizes, such as a 2-day equipment rental package sponsored by Expressway Cinema Rentals. So be sure to subscribe to our email newsletter to see all the details on our prizes, as sometimes they change week to week when we get new sponsors. So check it out, 10 grand, up to 10 grand, and other prizes to make your film. I want to remind listeners that contests do happen regularly, so if you are listening at a later date, please check the website at thefilmfund.co for the most up-to-date information. Today, we have Tom Sims and Stefan Prosky, who I know from the Cape May Film Festival, which is no more as of right now, but maybe he's coming back. I don't know. We're going to talk about it on the podcast. I was super excited and proud and honored to be a part of that a few years ago with my short film, Son of Blackbeard, and made some awesome connections there, including these two guys who are going to talk about what they do, different media, magazines, movie columns, festivals. Guys, thank you so much for coming. If you could both give me an intro on what you do, your background, who you are. We could start with Tom, if you want to go ahead, because you have the better name.
Sure. The Tom name. I get that. The Tom Club. So yeah, Tom Sims is the name, and I've had a background of making a lot of short films that have been a variety of film festivals. Not doing that so much as I used to. I just put them on YouTube or wherever and just let them live there and see what happens. You know, I'm really a lot more about the organic structure of it, but I still love making films. Currently working on a collection of short stories based on the short films that I've made, and I do write for Exit Zero, which is a magazine down in Cape May, New Jersey. Started writing with them. Oh, it's been years now. I would say 13 or so, maybe even 15 years this year, and started writing for them because I was helping with the film festival down there, and so we can talk about the life and demise of the film festival, but by all means, we'll keep that short and sweet, and just get into I don't know the making of films, how I've been able to make. I guess it's about 7 films so far. And I have plans to do even more. So
Awesome.
That's me. I'm also a fundraiser for a local college, and been a fundraiser for food banks and animal welfare and a whole bunch of different. That's what I do to keep the money flowing.
Very cool. Stefan, how about you?
Oh well, I'm what you would call a media artist and a technology artist. Also, I was a professor for about 12 years.
Okay.
My degree is in 3D animation, but I love the smell of paint and making things, so I kind of graduated with an installation with a lot of video in it that the public got to control.
Mm-hmm.
I make very quirky, as Tom will attest, short films. Not as many as Tom. Mine are a little tricky because some of them are animated. The most recent thing I've done is my wife is an abstract artist who does these giant paintings that you can't stand in front of and not smile. They're very colorful and very busy. They kind of look like, well, to me, they look like a more colorful or psychedelic version of what you would see under the microscope.
Okay.
So I did a short called The Pond. It's about 2 minutes long in After Effects with one of her paintings.
Very cool.
So that's my most recent work. And I have a lot of other quirky videos that you can see on Prof. Prosky on YouTube. I just like watching films with Tom. That's the main reason I did this film festival for, what was it, 20 years?
Crazy good times. Good times.
Yes. So.
And when we come across a film like Son of Blackbeard, we were like,
"Yeah,
why we're here."
Thank you so much.
This is why we start screaming at the camera when we see or screaming at the TV, throwing things because we think it's so good. Because most of it is very bad, as you well know.
Yeah, it's tough going through submissions.
Unfortunately,
they have to start somewhere, but as you know, judges,
Yes,
it can be
yes,
tough
yes.
nurturing that and going through all of the submissions.
Starting with the short is a good thing.
Yeah, that's what I say
Right.
too. I mean, we
Oh,
built our whole
sure.
company around short films. There was an opportunity there because they're so hard
Yeah.
to fund because they really don't make any money. No one's really going to the theater to watch short films. That might be changing now with companies like Argo. But yeah, I mean, some of them are bad when you get down to it. But you got
Yeah.
to learn. You got to start somewhere.
Well, I've never made anything longer than about
Okay,
4 minutes because I'm actually trained as an animator,
gotcha.
so I don't really ever want to make anything longer
Hmm.
than 4 minutes without a lot of other people.
Hmm. Yeah, that makes sense.
So
So, you know, we talk about we said we're going to talk about a bunch of things: Cape May Film Festival, fundraising, filmmaking, your projects. Tell me a little bit about the history of the Cape May Film Festival, because of a lot of our listeners, they're, you know, whether it's a big festival or a small festival, their dream is to have their work premiere at a film festival. So I'm interested in kind of how that got started. 20 years is a pretty impressive run. I was interested in how you sustained it that long. And
yeah, it's hazy to me because it's been so long, but it was I think 2000. Yeah, around 2000.
2000. Yeah.
2000. I hadn't graduated from School of Visual Art yet. Um, Someone who I had gotten to know, a guy named Ron Roulet down in Cape May, and wanted to highlight my dad and do a little film festival. My dad is a fairly well known movie and television actor called Bob Prosky or
okay,
Robert Prosky. Uh, so the first one was sort of an informal thing. It originally came out of an organization called Cape May Stage down in Cape May. Um, Eventually, it separated, uh, as these things do. Um, and I would watch films with the jury with Ron, and we would pick films. Um, and we had a lot. We had features we would show. We had shorts we would show. I was more or less in charge of the of helping to pick
okay,
the shorts and organizing the jury and and then doing the verbs and and contacting filmmakers and everything else. I was sort of Ron's right hand man, so to
gotcha.
speak. For reasons I'd like not to get into, Ron left the film festival, and Tom, a couple other people joined. Tom sort of joined peripherally from one of your films.
Well, you know, actually, it's
One of
funny
your
because
of the film.
the film festival was in sort of a dire situation financially,
Yes.
as a lot of arts
Hmm.
organizations
Yeah.
will be. We could talk about Cape May Jazz. We can talk about a bunch
Mm-hmm.
of different organizations,
Yeah.
and the idea was that the state had provided some funding to help manage its, you know,
Yeah.
get the organization to manage itself out of that debt and out of that financial hardship, and so I took that on, and when that money ran out, I kept it going by trying to just be a good steward of the funds that are raised.
A great
It's a
story.
community film festival, you know, that's what I think that saved it for as long as it did, is that the community really did
Hmm.
rally behind it.
Mm.
So, and then it came a point where, you know, you needed so much time and energy and volunteer power to run these things. If it's you know, mid-size, I guess the Cape May Film Festival was sort of small to mid-size. We had some star power that came
Well, you
along,
guys had
right?
me,
Yeah.
obviously.
Yeah.
We had Susan Sarandon, the biggest
We did have Susan
star.
Sarandon one year, and
Wow.
Yep,
Joey Pants, and
Joey Pants. That's right.
and
William Baldwin, I believe, right?
William Baldwin. Yeah.
All the Baldwin brothers, and then, you know, a variety of others. Pat Martino was awesome. He didn't play guitar, but as Stefan would point out, I just rather hear him speak anyway, because he was such an eloquent speaker,
That's
and he
true.
showed his film, and that was a fond memory. There's always been somebody wanting to highlight a feature film that wants to come along and show that film, and we have a spot for that. We slate a spot for that, and we've
Well,
had a lot of high talent.
I'm having a senior moment. What was the name of the guy who played all the wise guys? It was in an alien film.
Oh, Vincent
Oh, I know him.
Pastore. Vincent
Yes.
Pastore. God bless him. God bless him. He had a short called Alienated, and
Yes.
it was fantastic. A mob
Yep.
guy meets the aliens and stuff, and it was just a riot. was about 30 minutes. It wasn't a feature film, but
No,
man, he came in and he held court, in our lobby with all these people around. He was a riot. He was
That's
really
great.
funny.
he was in The Sopranos quite a bit, I
That's
think.
probably
Yep.
what I know him
Yep.
from.
No.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. So oh, go ahead. Sorry.
He what what was great about about Vincent? I have I've got a script I've always been wanting to sell, and I had it around a long time, and a lot of producers have looked at it, but nobody's picked it up. And it's called Repo Elf. It's about the elf that goes out after Christmas and takes back the toys from the
Oh, I know
bad
you're thinking
kids
him.
who
Oh,
were
wow.
pretending to be good. Yeah. And Vincent was really interested. He goes, could I play Santa Claus? And I said, Vincent, you absolutely
That's
could
great.
play Santa
Yes.
Claus. Never turned in anything, but he was the kind of guy who could raise, a few $100,000 to do something, with a project. And I thought, sure, no,
Mhm.
you're into it. But it never came to fruition.
Is he local
He was right.
from New Jersey?
Yeah.
North Jersey. Okay.
He's North Jersey, yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, he's North Jersey.
And he's available for shorts. All you got to do is find his agent. I'm sure
That's good to know.
he'll entertain anything. He's typically
Mm-hmm.
cast in the mobster sort of role, a gangster role, but who knows?
Awesome. So if you guys had any advice for
Yeah.
our listeners who are primarily, or not primarily, if anyone's listening to this, they're an independent filmmaker, they're interested in independent film and producing, they might just be starting out. If you had advice on submitting to film festivals or just any advice in general, what would that be?
Stefan.
Well, first thing is get as many people to watch your films as you can, and get a good sense of how good your film is. Um, if you just sort of blindly submit to many festivals, you may crush your ego without having anybody to sort of pre-screen it before a jury. The other thing the other thing that would sort of be a death knell for a film is bad acting. Wouldn't you say, Tom?
Yeah, for sure.
Bad acting is just get good actors. I'm biased. I'm the son of an actor, but it's not that hard to find good actors, and not all of them are union.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. As you know, the first short film I ever did was absolutely terrible, and well, I mean that was partly the reason because it was the first film I ever did and I had no experience, but it's also because I just put my friends in the thing and I didn't use professional actors, and the script was decent, but the acting was just abysmal and it was terrible and it ruined the whole project. So I definitely agree with you there.
Yeah, it really. Sometimes you can get a natural performance out of someone who's not an actor if you're a good director, but it's tricky. It's really tricky.
Very, very much so. And I would say my first film that I produced was with the Screen Actors Guild as an experimental project, and therefore I could use Screen Actor Guild, members, and which I did, and it turned out okay. We went to a few film festivals. It was, as Stefan would say, it was always a little too long. A little too long, he would tell me. It's a little still 15 minutes too long, he would say.
Maybe it should have been in installments.
Right. But it didn't even work that way. It was fun, but
there were some great moments in that film, Tom. You were hard on yourself.
It was good. It was a good film. Then the film after that was a documentary about two musicians and sort of following. The only advice I would give to a filmmaker is you have to have a passion for what you're doing, because you're not always going to get the accolades. You're not going to get the sometimes the film festivals. Every film should have a film festival, that it could be, sent to, which will work. I would never tell a filmmaker that we didn't accept their film for any other reason than that we only had so many slots and we couldn't do it. That's it. So, because it's really not my place to say whether your film was good or bad. It's my place to say, I'm sorry, but we had 30 slots to fill and we had 100 submissions. So when you do the math, it doesn't always work out. What it really comes down to is researching the film festivals a little bit would be helpful. And I'm to understand that, this is how long I've been out of it, I understand that without a box,
it's pretty much all Film Freeway now.
Right? And that's defunct. Film Freeway, right. So, but whatever the avenue is, sure, if you've got the films, there's a couple of things. You're looking at locality. Hey, I made this in New Jersey. I'll send it to Jersey film festivals. And that's tricky. because a lot of those film festivals are mature, they are good, they're sizable, they've been around for a while, and they have, again, 20, 30, 40, maybe even 50 slots with 300 submissions. So that can be tricky. And then but so locality is one, but then subject matter, there's film festivals for every subject under the sun, horror or romance or whatever the case may be. What are we all shooting for as directors, though, is to make something that resonates with as wide an audience as possible, so that when you get rejected, you're like, wow, wait a minute now. I really felt like that was the one, and that was the film festival. But it really, you can't be dejected. That's why nowadays, look, there's community film festivals, and then there's really high-end, high-octane film festivals. We always say the word Sundance, but let's face it, even Garden State Film Festival is a pretty sizable and impactful, and it's one where, you might even get some recognized or whatever. But a lot of other film festivals just come up out of the neighborhood and out of the community.
Yeah.
They're community film festivals. So you're going to go saying, well, wait a minute. I thought I would met a lot of other filmmakers. That was fun. That was good. But that's what Cape May was. You weren't going to get, found in Cape May. You weren't going to get discovered in Cape May, but you'll meet a lot of nice people, and you meet a lot of, I met a lot of nice people at a lot of film festivals, all over the place. Delray Beach, I could name some of the ones that I've been to. It's great. Frederick, Maryland. A lot of fun places to go and meet people. But if you think you're going to get discovered, you got to be mindful that a lot of film festivals are community film festivals, and that's not exactly what's going to happen. So that's it. I mean, if you want to get discovered, there's other ways to go about doing that. But you got to get yourself to a I don't even know what
Slam
the
Dance
new one's called. Slam Dance.
Yeah, there's Tribeca.
Sundance.
I mean,
There were a lot of
the
dances.
thing. I mean, I'm gonna sound like an old man.
Tribeca is. Yeah.
Tribeca is great, and so there's a few other ones. Gen Art up in New York, excellent.
For a while there, for experimental films and really arty films, Black Mariah.
Black Mariah.
That one up.
Yep. So there's a lot in Jersey.
I was going to say, I'm going to sound like an old
obviously.
man talking about the internet, but the internet's huge now too for shorts. I mean, there's Short of the Week. There's Vimeo staff picks. You get a Vimeo staff pick, you're gonna get some attention, I think.
I mean, Tom, isn't like content king? It's amazing.
It's crazy. I mean,
how much content
we built the whole Film Fund audience just
and
by
so we've got it.
Content being published on the film school, publishing a weekly blog and a newsletter. It's all marketing today. And if you can market yourself as a filmmaker online, you're going to create your own audience. There's a filmmaker, his name is Bobby Miller. He had a film in Sundance short, God, I guess maybe 10 years ago now, I don't know, but I met him randomly just online. Actually, my mom actually, I think I was in college, like freshman year or something. My mom ran into his mom in a nail salon, and she was like, "Oh, my son does film," and she gave me his email address, and I reached out to him, and I just kind of kept in contact with him over the years. But he has a whole following just from his email list and his social media. Like, I follow him. I get emails from him time to time. He's working on a new project. He's doing this for this network. He's doing a film there. It's just, it's all online. You really have to embrace it. As much as I hate all this metaverse shit that's coming out with the new Web3, I mean, it's really going to be interesting to see how that affects film online for sure. But I mean, I'd rather go to the theater. I saw 2 movies this past weekend.
Sure. Well,
that's great.
Yeah, throw a pandemic into the mix, and you're really going to be hearkening back to those things. But if you look at Hayden Film Festivals is another one that was started out as an online film festival. That's all they do is online. So there's a number of opportunities.
Shout out Garden State Film Festival. I think we had Sunday Dinner, our short film was what do you call it, featured, screened at Garden State Film Festivals. I made it up there last year. It was a little weird because we were still in the midst of the pandemic. I mean, we still are now, but like everyone, was still wearing masks, and it was weird. But it was cool to see it on the screen.
Sure. Oh, it's always great.
Kudos to you guys. That's great.
Yeah, it was exciting. I think it was maybe in March or April, sometime in the spring.
You're talking about the internet. I have a pet love that it's sort of it's been in its embryonic stage for a while now. I don't know if you've done anything with 360 video, where you can click around and and see a whole sphere of video. And getting narrative to work in that space is really interesting. Google's done a bunch of stuff with that. And there's a masterful piece I've seen called Pearl on YouTube that is really a nice little narrative about a father and a daughter, and it all takes place inside this car. And you can spin around and see the whole inside of the car and look at whatever you want to look at, but it still has markers for you to pay attention to the narrative.
Oh, cool.
So, and we were thinking about maybe doing something like that in our next project, adding that into our lineup, a little 360 video.
Yeah. Oh wait, did we lose Tom?
We lost him.
Oh no, we're gonna have to talk amongst ourselves.
I talked
Stefan.
about the future and tech blew up.
you know,
I thought I lost my audience there. I thought I was losing.
Oh no, what happened?
I don't know.
Yeah, we'll
we talk among ourselves.
We'll talk
or we
among
wait
ourselves.
For the host?
If Tom returns, it's great. If he doesn't, then
we'll improvise.
We'll improvise, exactly. So,
we'll improvise.
You know,
Oh, wait a minute. I see he's coming
guys,
back.
Here he is.
Can you hear me?
Here he is. Yay!
So sorry about that. I think my
I
I talked about the future and the future went all to hell.
oh my God, Wi-Fi. The Film Fund needs to invest in a better internet connection, I think.
Oh,
But
exactly.
we are back. So sorry. We're talking about the future and something exciting. Stefan, that's when I left.
Oh, I was talking about 360 video. It's been around for a while, and I've actually made my students try and make some.
Okay.
Composite in it and try and figure a way to tell a story in it, because you have 360 degrees of video to look at.
Mm-hmm.
You can get lost in the technology of something like that and just decide.
Well, no, it's interesting because you have to sort of let people know what to look at,
Mm-hmm.
And where to look. Sound cues are really good, and three-dimensional sound is really good.
Right.
And as I was saying, there was one piece I saw called Pearl that's quite good. It's a nice little short film, almost in a Spielberg tradition. It's all animated, though. It's all sort of toon shaded, no people. I've seen others with people. Most of them are fancy, like alien invasion things, and multiple places to look at the same time.
That's great.
So
that sounds like fun.
Even the Gorillas put out one a while back.
Oh, I saw that.
used to have
I
to
didn't
teach this
actually
class
see it,
called Emerging Technology at the Art Institute, and I made kids go out and look for these things.
Very cool.
So
cool.
Yeah, it's interesting. I know I used to work for a video agency, and we did some 360 video stuff, but VR was still kind of in its infancy. I think it's going to be interesting to see now that it's becoming more.
The other thing, a lot of filmmakers are also starting to use the video game engines.
Yeah, like Unreal Engine,
and figuring out virtual backgrounds, so they don't actually have to build the set.
Yep.
Unreal and Unity.
Yeah, I was talking to a cinematographer a couple of weeks ago. I had a kind of a part-time job managing a film studio here in Philadelphia for a bit.
Okay.
And we had to paint the cyc. It was a pain in the ass. Like, you have a client, they walk all over the cyclorama, it gets footprints on it. You have to repaint it for the next client. So we're doing the studio tech was doing that, and we were kind of complaining about it. And he was saying, "Oh, it's all going to be video walls in 5 years anyway. It's not going to matter."
Yeah,
so it's interesting to see where that's going to go.
It could be a lot of hurry up and wait too.
Yep.
But it's not supposed to be. It's supposed to solve the hurry up and wait.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see.
Yes, we will.
I have a good friend who's a cinematographer in New Mexico, and he had a job a couple weeks ago where he didn't actually work. They just paid him to sit around.
Really?
For about 3 days.
What?
He made a lot of money, but he was upset because he wasn't working.
What was he doing? He was just sitting there?
He's a cinematographer. He's supposed to do shots of this long chase scene, and they never got it together.
Wow.
The assistant director was not, shall we say, the best.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Gotcha.
Well,
I'm sure we all have our horror stories on set. And
oh yeah,
for sure,
no doubt.
And not to interject at a time when we're talking about horror stories, but the film festival went belly up.
Okay.
And there's really not much.
Yeah.
How like that for? How was that for a segue?
Slow molder.
Let's talk about it.
We got back in the black, and
it was it was really running well. It had money to give away at the end, which when I came in, it had a debt that was crushing into tens of thousands, and so we were able to turn that around, and now we were able to give some away. but I wasn't around. Stefan and we weren't really around. We'd come in for the film festival, but if they wanted to do something otherwise, then they had to do it on their own. And they did a great job. They did a great job trying to keep everything moving, but it just wound up being a volunteer power issue. And so at this point, we are looking at working with a local magazine called Exit Zero, which is who I write my movie column for. And Exit Zero picked up the Jazz Festival, since the Cape May Jazz Festival as a nonprofit organization, I believe, is no more. So, and the way we're looking at it is as a media fest, so that we're talking about VR and gaming and films, so that it sort of broadens the approach. And
yeah,
so,
that makes me think of South by a little bit. I know they're into tech and VR and startups and all of that, in addition to just film. So it's going to be interesting.
Yeah. So, yeah, I was thinking mostly indie games, because indie studios want to get their stuff out, and how many people get a chance to see their stuff on a big screen?
Yeah.
While people are playing it,
right.
And there's the old thing where you're sitting there watching your buddy play some game,
Right.
Kind of a meme.
It's
not a dark room thing, like I'm hoping movies never die. I'm hoping we'll stay cavemen, and a bunch of people will get in a dark room and watch a flickering light on the screen.
Yep.
But there are these other things, and most people actually watch films on tiny screens now.
Yeah.
So
I want to believe as well there are enough people out there who care about organizations like Criterion and subscribe to them, and they like good quality films, and they care about projection and the big screen. I'm hoping there are enough people out there that it's sustainable, and they raise their kids to also find the value in that, or kids just find it themselves.
I think it's what they call a part of our epigenetics as humans. I think turning out the lights and watching something in the dark with a bunch of other people won't die.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
Well,
just the way theater.
Look at theater. People thought, theater. This is going to be the end of theater. No, it's not the end of theater. It's still alive and well, but it's not the mainstay that it had been in the 30s, 20s, whatever. But
that's a good point.
Still around, so it'll always be around.
What
as long as there's teenagers who want to watch superheroes, it's always going to be a movie theater.
So how did the Cape May Film Festival go belly up? I may have missed. Was it COVID that kind of ended it?
I think
no, that nailed it shut. But no, it was really a lack of volunteer power.
Okay.
The volunteers were excellent people, very nice people, but they just couldn't sustain it.
Yeah.
And it was one of those things where it became challenging to host every year. And then COVID came along, and that wasn't helping anything.
What do you think the timeline is on this new project, the media festival?
Well, we're hoping maybe sometime in 2022.
Okay. Yeah, maybe
we're hoping
this year would be great.
We're trying to get it together.
We actually have a new venue down in Cape May that we're going to explore, as opposed to the theater that we started out the Cape May Film Festival with, because a theater has its own needs. It needs to get things up, and the only dark day might be Monday, and that's not necessarily going to work for us. So we're looking at a new like sort of movie / live performance space that's starting to take shape down there.
Okay.
So we're hoping to get something going with that.
Very cool. Is there any online presence yet? Anything we could check out?
So yeah, there's ExitZeroMediaFest.com.
Okay.
Is that what it is? Wait a minute.
Yes.
I said it out loud, but I think I'm not sure if it's a .org or a no, it's
okay.
.com. So ExitZeroMediaFest.com.
And is that the number 0 or the word 0?
The word
0. Okay, and we'll include that in the show notes as well, so everybody can keep tabs on that and check it out.
Yeah.
That's great. I have to go in and just sort of adjust things a little bit to just sort of make it a little more like spring 2022,
sure.
That sort of thing.
Cool. Very cool.
Still got 2020 up there, which didn't work out.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, easy fix.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm definitely interested in keeping tabs on that. I mean, we recently took a new strategy, I guess you would call it, with our blog. Our blog used to be very educational, and it was, how to write a screenplay, how to get film funding for a short film, how to do this, how to do that. And we kind of did that content to death. Like, we have a great resource now and a great repository of how do I be an independent filmmaker? And from a producer standpoint, we call that the Film Fund Learn now. If you go to the filmfund.co/learn, you can click through all those articles. But our blog is now focused on kind of industry news and things that are happening in film, updates from the Film Fund, but also things with VR and new media. So that's all we're writing about these past few weeks. We do a couple of posts per week, and everything I'm researching, everything that's trending, people are interested in these crypto projects, and they're interested in new media and VR filmmaking, and it's going to be exciting. So I think you guys are very much going in the right direction with that.
It's great. And we like the contest that you're hosting. That's awesome.
Thank you. Yeah.
We did something similar.
Okay.
Yes,
as I recall,
great.
Stefan, we did something similar, which never really happened, but it was a good idea at the time.
Well, I don't know, the whole premise idea, you know, one sentence. I spent hours trying to beat that into my animators' heads.
Right.
You know, you can't get it across in one sentence.
It's
Why
your
should
elevator
you bother?
pitch, and then
I mean, you had to come back. You had to come back with me next week with 10 premises.
Right.
And then the whole class gets to pick them apart because it's not one person.
Yep.
It's everybody.
I love that.
So
it's your log line.
Yeah.
Excellent.
And then you have to go to the rest of it, the treatment and all the other, you know, flesh it out. That's the hard part. But at least you got someplace to start.
We love log lines at the Film Fund. You know, our whole contest is based on a one-sentence pitch. We ask for a compelling premise, but we also ask how they would spend some of the money. It's tough to do in one sentence. It's easy. It's a lot easier than a grant competition.
And you show them the old film, The Player. You should show them the beginning of the old film, The Player. Well, people think it's old. It's not really, but show them the opening of The Player. It's all one shot. It's all one shot.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I haven't seen that myself, so I'm gonna have to do some homework.
Oh, it will make some of the. You will be able to pick out the people who know what they're talking about or know a little bit about film.
I will check it out for sure.
Laugh.
Maybe we'll.
So, all the people who've been in the business, you'll be able to pick out the producers in the room.
I don't. Looks like the podcasting software I usually use did an update, or maybe it's because my internet connection went out a few minutes ago. I don't know how long we've been recording for. So I know since I joined back, it's been about 10 minutes. But are you guys able to see that at all?
We got
my screen says
32.
Yeah, we got 30.
Okay, I think that's a good place to start wrapping up then. I just had a couple of more questions as we get into the conclusion of the pod episode. What's next for both of you? I know we talked about the new media project, but
you first, sir.
Well, yeah, we got the Media Fest would be something that we're hoping that we'll get off the ground.
That's
and I'm doing. I've this year I've dedicated to finishing up my book of short stories for the short films that I have made, and that's just something for my own personal edification, which is what the movies are all about for me as well. So yeah, and at some point I'm working toward becoming a Rotten Tomatoes critic. But I've got to get a lot more output. I've got to get a lot more fan base if I want to do that. It's not happening with the fan base I've got. I can tell you
Very
that.
cool.
So
keep us posted.
Anyway, yeah.
I'm sort of thinking about starting a lot of my installation. I do a lot of installation work. I have a White House in the Capitol that sumo wrestle.
That's great.
That's great. Right. They're little robots, and I have a whole spiel to go with it. Trying to not choose sides. I learned from a animation studio a long time ago. We actually had one of their pieces in the film festival. Jib Jab.
Really want you to the political.
Don't let them know what side you're on. Don't know. And I'm actually an independent, so I'm thinking about doing something with that. I have some stuff I want to do for our illustrious.
I remember Jib Jab
president.
As it was like the Bush Kerry election in those videos. Yeah, I was in middle school when they were coming out, but everyone
that's
was
how long
watching
our film festival.
I thought they were fantastic.
Yeah, I had to do like a little documentary for the film festival.
That's so cool.
Got flown out to LA and everything for that, but I'm thinking about doing something like that on YouTube. I don't know. When you do an installation, only a couple people see it, so. Thinking about setting up some stuff and playing some games. We'll see. and I keep animating, and I'm sort of semi-retired, so I can do whatever I want. Really, I'm thinking about what work to make next. Some combination of film and something you
I
can
love
play
that.
with. Everything I make, you can play
Can
with.
we name drop the
So.
big animation studio that you worked at?
Yeah, I briefly worked for about 3 years. I worked for Nickelodeon. I used to animate. I
That's so
used to
cool.
do commercials of SpongeBob, and I worked on a Baby Einstein project as a technical director, and I used a wonderful 3D program that I absolutely love, and I still
Okay,
use it occasionally. It's called Houdini.
definitely have heard of that one.
So, uh, but that's all
Yeah,
technical crap.
but the technical
Content is
crap's
king.
important. I'm sure
You
there's
know,
some nerd out there listening to this who's like, "Oh
it
my god, I
is, it
learned
is, it
Houdini."
is, and yeah, and the one thing I would the one other thing I would say, the one thing that would always get a film, even if it was started out well, we had our what was it, 2 minute rule, five
Something
minute
like
rule,
that.
well, it
Yeah,
would
oh yeah.
change depending on whether it was a feature or we had like a couple second rule for shorts and a 5 minute
Right.
rule for so if we liked it after 5 minutes, if it was a feature, we kept watching.
I think that's
Five
good.
minutes,
Yeah,
5 minutes,
Right.
5 minutes,
it's tough to. You have to have some
and
kind of benchmark to get you through all those submissions.
but
Um, and they always say that in terms
yeah,
of
yeah,
screenwriting too.
yeah.
When you're writing a
The
feature script, you got to grab something exciting has to happen within the first like 10 pages or 5 pages or something like that. I read that in, I think it was Sid
Right.
Field
You bet.
wrote that, or
You
it was
bet.
either Sid Field or oh my god, who was the guy who wrote Adventures in the Screen Trade? William Goldman, I think. Butch Cassidy and Sundance. Yeah, it was one of them. I don't know who to credit, but
mhm.
yeah, you got to grab your audience in the beginning for sure and set something up.
We had
Yeah.
our own. We had our own
It does
sort
happen.
of celebrity writer, didn't we, Stefan? At the film festival. That's
Oh
right.
yes,
Mr.
yeah,
Joe
yeah.
Stinson, writer of.
Joseph Stimson.
He
Yes,
wrote the line, "Go ahead,
Really?
make my day."
And he was
So
in
there you
the he
go.
was part of the Cape May Film
Yes,
yes,
Festival.
he did.
yeah, and
Yep.
yeah.
Oh, I love that.
He also was a
That's
teacher in the
awesome.
summer in our camps. He's a
Is he
Yeah.
wonderful
still
teacher.
He's
around,
great.
or
Wonderful
is
teacher.
he?
He's in. He's in
Yeah,
Okay.
Asheville, North Carolina.
I
Yeah.
think so. Yeah, yeah. He's still down there with. Never had any kids. Just
Know
has a
some people
million
like that. I love
dogs.
Yep.
dogs.
Yep.
Well, guys, thank you so much for taking the time to speak tonight. Could you? I know,
Thanks
Stefan,
for
you
having us,
mentioned
Tom. It's great.
absolutely. You guys said you both have YouTube
Yeah,
channels or
thank you,
social
man.
media channels where you publish your work. Could you share them with us so we can plug? Okay.
Yeah, mine's just Prof Prosky. The PROF
Okay.
and then the word Prosky. Pro Sky.
Yep. My YouTube channel is just Tom Sims, so I think so. That's where you could find a few films
Awesome.
anyway.
And then the
Not all
it
of
was
them.
ExitZeroMediaFest.com.
ExitZeroMediaFest.com.
Awesome.
And
Thanks everyone for tuning in, listening to the podcast. Just want to remind you that our winter 2022, I guess we'll call it 2022. Technically, it opened in 2021, as you can clearly see. But our winter narrative and documentary contests are currently open for submission. So check them out at thefilmfund.co. Submit your entries. Check out our social channels at the Film Fund on Instagram, Film Fund Co. on Facebook, Simply Film Fund on Twitter. We have a LinkedIn too. I don't know many independent filmmakers that like LinkedIn, but go check us out there if you want. Also, check out the website at thefilmfund.co for regular updates and the most up-to-date information. Check out our blog at blog.thefilmfund.co for industry updates and updates at the Film Fund. And check out the Film Fund Learn at thefilmfund.co/learn. Check out ebooks there, resources, thefilmfund.co/resources. We have merch. We don't really push the merch anymore, but if you want a cool hat like I'm wearing, go check that out on the website as well. Thank you, guys. Anything else you want to add before we wrap up? Cool. Thanks
it
so
was
much,
good.
guys. We try to do this
Thank you.
Thanks,
every
Tom.
Friday. It's been a little haphazard with the holidays,
Thanks so
but
much, man.
stay tuned. We're going to publish these almost every Friday, I'll say, going forward. Thanks, everybody. Have a great night.